I'm on it now. All comments. Let's have a look. All comments.
Right, there we go. Welcome. How you doing? 8:04. Fashionably late as always. Welcome to Sports Therapy Association Open Group on Facebook. And as hopefully you've seen in the adverts, what we're going to be doing in episode 12 is having a catch up with founder Gary Benson. There's me in the background.
We've got two computers going.
That shouldn't be too annoying for the length of it. So yeah, we've got Gary Benson, founder of STA. For those of you who don't know him, if you just joined up or you're thinking of joining up Sports Therapy Association, well, this is your chance to ask any questions. Obviously, if you're a current member, then fire away with some questions. We've had a couple of sent in. If you're not a member and you've got something related to joining up, then feel free to fire them over to Gary as well. We're going to start off with Gary's going to do a few announcements. Towards the end of the show, then there will be, if any of you are not members and you are interested in joining up, then what we're going to do on Tuesday nights, if you're coming along to have a look at this and a listen, then the least we can do is give you some kind of link or offer to make your trip worthwhile. So there will be a code at the end of the show which will give you a chance to get 25% off membership if you join up in the next 24 hours. So before we do all that, hello Gary, how are you?
Hi Matt, good, thank you.
How are you dealing with this heat, this tropical heat? Mind you, you've probably had worse, haven't you, in your military background?
Yeah, I've been hotter, but I've been colder as well. So I don't mind it. It was too hot for golf this afternoon, though.
Oh, well, it's life in the first world problems. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
go on.
No, you go. You got the stage.
Yeah. So just some updates really about what we've been doing in the background. Obviously, some of you may have seen we got a new name sending out some of the admin stuff. And my eldest son Jake, who's a business graduate, he's been furloughed from his job in aerospace logistics for several months, and he's going to come on board now. He was halfway through his level 3 training when COVID kicked off, so he's waiting to resume his level 3 and 4. And then he's going to be working in my on-site clinic because I'm not, basically. So Jake's come on board to try and iron out some of the issues that we have with membership renewals, applications, etc. And he has been emailing people. We're still having the same problems with people with Hotmail, Gmail, BT Internet, Yahoo, AOL, sometimes not getting their emails, not responding. So I would urge everybody to check their junk mail. If they've got an alternative email, they want to email it into us, we can try sending to 2 different emails. Or just what usually solves the problem is if you send me an email, gary@thesta.co.uk or admin@thesta.co.uk, and that sometimes opens the communication channels. What you might have seen over the past fortnight is a lot of small regionalised groups on Facebook coming up, and we're encouraging the regional representatives to set up some local networking groups. And we've got Scott Loynes, who's here online. Evening, Scott. He's coordinating all of the regional representatives, and Scott and I are invited to all of the groups so we can monitor the activity, I suppose. And Scott's come up with some sort of housekeeping rules, if you like, which we would like all the groups to display. We are getting questions on whether it's appropriate that non-members join the groups. And I personally think that it's probably a good way of introducing people to the STA. So we've got local therapists. So I'm going to be speaking to Scott in the near future about having a sort of probation period. If a non-member wants to join the small regionalised group, then we say, okay, well, you can join us for 12 weeks. After the 12 weeks, we can get in touch with them and say, what do you think about the information? What do you think about the networking? And would you consider joining? And then the regional representatives will be given a code, a discount code, so that they can invite non-members to join at a discounted rate, if you like. So talking about regional representatives, what we've been working on with the website designers is an interactive map of the UK and Europe, actually, because we've got some regional representatives in Europe. And it will have pins on the map, and you'll be able to click on a pin in let's just say Derby, and you'll be able to get Ryan Smith's contact details, probably a link to the Facebook group. But what we are noticing is when I've had a look at the map today, we are short on regional reps in quite a few places. So I'll just read from my list. We need somebody in London, Cheshire, Liverpool, Manchester area. We are short. Devon and Cornwall, South Wales, North Wales, the west coast of Scotland, Northern Ireland, Cambridge, and ironically Lincoln, where I'm based. A high summer. Hope training's going well. So yeah, if anybody's interested in a regional representative role, it comes with free membership, and I am negotiating with some of our CPD providers so we can get you some free CPD. We place a lot of value on what the regional representatives do, and I know that Mark, who's in the house tonight, as always, and Leon had a socially distanced meetup to discuss how they're going to, run the East Anglia regional representatives small group. So if anybody's interested, then please get in touch, Gary at the sta.co.uk. Moving on from that, and I put it on this group, on the open group, so you can all see. But in the sort of section on the side of the group where you have the files, the discussion, there's also a mentors button, a mentorship button. And currently we've got 4 mentors in there. There's myself, Keith Burnett, Ryan O'Neill from Scotland, and Sharon Headley from Lincoln, who's our event team coordinator. We've got a wealth of experience in the STA. And the phone calls I've been having, over the past few months show that there is a need for mentors. So if you are of suitable experience, if you are successful, we'll talk about success later. If you are a successful therapist and you are, as I say, appropriately experienced and qualified, and you would like to mentor some of the newer members, get yourself on the mentorship button. It will go into the closed group so that we're not mentoring sort of all and sundry. Let's try and utilize some of that experience and provide some pastoral care and some mentorship to the new members. What I'm going to do, you will notice a little bit later on the open group, I'm going to put a new Facebook profile. It's simply called Gary STA, and the reason I'm doing that is that my personal profile, shall we say that I've been targeted by an internet troll at the moment, and I'm trying to distance my personal rubbish that I put on Facebook from the STA. So I would ask that any members who want to get in touch with me start to use the Gary STA for messages and not my personal one, because I'm seriously considering taking it offline until I can get this sorted out. Another thing that we've been doing in the background is talking about standards and the committee that I've sent emails to everybody who expressed an interest in the committee. Lottie Hutchinson, reason you haven't got your email is because I mistyped it, so there's a typo in there, so I'll send that tomorrow. But I've had some responses back, and I've spoken to quite a few people over the past few months, and what seems to be missing from the industry is information about the occupational competencies, what was historically called the National Occupational Standards, NOS, and they were Sector Skills Council owned, Skills for Health and Skills Active. Now, the Sector Skills Councils are, with most businesses, they are, depleted at the moment. But the the NOS for soft tissue therapy is currently owned by the CNHC, and I've made my views on whether the CNHC does what it says on the tin, and it sets a standard. It's a voluntary regulator, and I don't think it does. But they own the soft tissue therapy, and there are 3 NOSs. For soft tissue therapy, levels 3 and 4. There isn't a descriptor for level 5 at present, and there are 14 NOS for sports therapy, but they all expired in 2014. So my vision for the committee is to come up with the occupational competencies for soft tissue therapy, and we are collaborating with another association who are all advanced soft tissue members, and they're going to do a lot of the work on that, but we're going to have an input. We weren't invited for any input onto the ones that the CNHC own, if you like, but I would like the STA committee to come up with a new set of occupational competencies, because quite frankly some of the 14 that are on there at the moment have no place. They refer to electrotherapy, magnetic therapy, infrared, etc. And they even precede my time in the industry. We're going back to the 80s for those. So yeah, let's see what the industry wants, and speaking to members even today, I spoke to a graduate member who's just joined, and I said, well, what was on your degree? Did you do any soft tissue therapy? Oh yeah, we did some soft tissue therapy, but I don't know what level it was at, and I don't know what it was called. So if I suppose my vision is that if we can identify where a soft tissue therapist doesn't meet the competencies for a sports therapist, or vice versa, where a sports therapist doesn't meet the competencies for a soft tissue therapist, that might identify where one would target our CPD. And hopefully some of the collaboration work that we're doing at the moment will be to provide CPD to meet those occupational competencies. We're calling them occupational competencies and not national occupational standards, because we're not going to consult on these apart from the one that the collaboration I've already mentioned, because the Society of Sports Therapists is historically the longest serving professional membership association and not a lead body. They say that a degree is the minimum standard for entry onto a register of sports therapists if it ever comes. Well, it won't. So they're not willing to consult the other stakeholder in the sports therapy industry. They're linked to a training provider. So their occupational competencies, if you like, are the course that they run. So we don't think there's any point at the moment in consulting with anybody. But we are going to make these freely available to educators, and we're going to publish them, and we're going to say, look, this is what we think the standard should be. We've spoken to employers, we've spoken to educators, we've spoken to therapists on the ground, and this is what we've come up with, the skills that you need. And we'll see what happens. I'm always one for putting my head above the parapet and getting shot at, and if we get criticised, then I'll take that, because it's kind of my idea. But some of the responses I'm getting from the committee members are voicing the same opinions, and if we look back over COVID, we were all saying, we need more recognition. We're not massage parlours, we're not beauty therapists, and I think the only way that we can differentiate ourselves is to set a standard and achieve that standard. So let's see what happens with that. Everything okay so far? Is there any questions coming in? I noticed Matt said that he agrees with me on the CNHC. He's been doing some background research into them, not impressed. I was in 2011 for 3 years. I was a profession specific board advisor to the CNHC for sports therapy, and every time I made a suggestions that addressed standards, I was told basically that we need to be self-supporting within 2 years, self-funding, so we need to get bums on seats and then we can address standards. that's my view, that's my paraphrasing, not their words. So I don't think accredited registers are a good way to go forward for regulation. And I think that the Enabling Excellence White Paper in 2011 did clearly state that professional associations need to police their members more, and that's what we're doing, and that's why we differentiate our membership levels at 3 affiliate members, full members, and graduate members. I respect every soft tissue therapist and sports therapist, sports rehabilitator for their career choice, and I was criticised when I wrote to the health secretary about the future, the roles of graduate sports therapists and sports rehabilitators, and I was criticised by soft tissue therapists. But I was on a Zoom call last week with 2 heavyweight industry stakeholders for 90 minutes talking about how we can benefit soft tissue therapists. So 90% of the work that we do, and if I decide to join the GCMT, that's all for soft tissue therapists. They're not bothered about the graduates. So one of the criticisms about the STA is that we are not just sports therapists, or we're not just soft tissue therapists. But let's be honest, there are associations that are just for sports therapists, and there are associations just for soft tissue therapists. But you've chosen to join the STA for a reason, and that's because we're different. That's because we're contactable, because I ring up every member when they join. I leave a message if I can't get through to them. Everybody gets my personal contact details. So, we are helping. We are supporting members in the best way that we can. So I think that rounds up the update. Should we move on to some questions, Matt? Have you got any there, or shall I read from my list?
Everyone in here is pretty quiet. Maybe I think they're just amazed at the amount of work that goes behind keeping the STA where it is. They're just gobsmacked. But I'd just like to add that I've been seeing from the shadows a massive increase in activity from regional representatives and the committee, and and it's so nice to see. I think sometimes there's a fear that you can overdo it, that you can sing praises for your own kind of organization too much. But I just, in case anyone is worried about that, no, it looks amazing. It's great when you guys kind of sing praises and put stuff out there, and it's the only way to do it, because otherwise we just stay a drop in the ocean and you think you're shouting to everybody and everyone knows about what you think of the STA. But believe me, not at all. You can't do it enough. So just well done to everybody who has been sharing posts on your own timelines, so that the word gets out further.
I'm quite uncomfortable with and humbled by some of the messages of support that I get. I'll move on to the reasons for that a little bit later. But I was always taught that you go about your job diligently, you remain professional, you don't slag people off to make yourself look better, and you don't big yourself up. So I'm just going about my job. There is a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, and you only have to ask my girlfriend what our conversations are every weekend, and it's like, oh God, I'm so stressed.
Lucky woman.
Yeah.
She won the lottery.
I really do appreciate when we get a review on the Facebook page, or we get a recommendation. I've seen a comment, nice headphones. You've seen them before, Summer. Old news.
Oh, yeah, move on. Come on. Get some closure on that, Summer.
Yeah, Summer's about halfway. Well, no, she's not halfway, but she's still doing a PTI training in this heat at the moment. So, I get a notification on my Apple Watch that she's been and done a workout at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm thinking, this is not the Summer that I know.
Is she able to walk on the cracks in pavements now? Is that still an issue for her?
No, that's still an issue. Yeah.
Okay.
And she has to walk in step, which is quite good for the military. She has to walk in step
that's a bonus.
if we walk together.
Right. Interesting. Good to see that. Yeah.
One of a question that came, I think it was from Ryan, actually, one of the regional reps. He commented on a post I put on last week. He said, "Can we sack a client?" Okay. So, and I thought about this, and I thought, well, absolutely. I've sacked lots of clients. If somebody comes to me when I was in clinical practice, hopefully they've done the research and find out that I'm the person who can facilitate their recovery or to help them achieve a goal. Now, if they're not willing, to go some way towards following my advice, then absolutely I would sack them. What I don't want is that, let's just say Mr. Jones, who's one of my clients, is in the pub at a weekend saying, "Oh, I'm going to go and I see Gary every week. I've been for a year." And I'm thinking, well, Gary must be crap at his job. So why not sack a client? I've sacked somebody straight after the consultation because they spent 45 minutes telling me that nothing worked for them. They were very closed to any suggestions that I made. And I just said, thank you very much, but I don't want to treat you. And that's my professional decision, is that I don't think I can help you. And on the way out, she said, well, can you give me a note so I can go to my employer and say that they caused my bad back by sitting on an uncomfortable chair every day? I said, no.
That's what you want.
So absolutely, you can sack a client. There's always going to be the possibility of a clash of personalities.
What was the terminology you actually used there? I mean, I'm thinking you said in joke, I'm sorry, I've listened to what you said and I'm sorry, I'm out. But how did you actually break it to them, that just in case this happens to a younger therapist?
Yeah, I explained that we probably wouldn't work well together because her way of doing things wasn't the same as my way of doing things. There were so many differences on so many levels that I just thought I couldn't work with this person. And I get on with everybody in the world if I had the chance, apart from 3 people, and they're my taser list. And I've spoken about that before. But everybody else, I wanted to give them a chance. But if you're not willing to take my advice, then I don't want to work with you. It's wasting my time. It's wasting my, if you like, expertise. Somebody misses your long beard, Matt.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm trying to. I wonder who that is. Type your name just so I know.
Yeah, it's Matt. It's Matt Scarsbrook again.
Oh, is it?
No, it's not.
No, it's
It's
not.
under
No,
his
somebody
thing.
else.
No, it's not.
Yeah. I'm wondering if it's a new troll.
So yes, we can sack a client. Another question that came in was when to refer, and this is quite common. And I gave up answering on Facebook groups about 2 years ago, where somebody's saying, "Oh, I've got a client coming in with tennis elbow. Can somebody give me some idea what to do?" And I think by asking that question, that you should be referring on. It's outside your skill set. Specifically, the level 3 at the moment, which I commented before that I don't think it's fit for purpose, and I'm not disrespecting anybody who's taken that journey, but I think the awarding organisations and some of the policy writers and standard writers have got to take some responsibility, that we're producing a lot of therapists now who can only apply massage techniques to non-pathological tissue. We only go and see somebody when we've got pathological tissue. Otherwise, we just do it ourselves. We just crack on. So if you're level 3 and somebody comes with an injury, then my advice would be to, network with your local therapists or in your new STA local regional group and refer out and say, probably this is a time when somebody needs some mentorship or to look at some progression training. Because at the moment, I think level 4 is the minimum standard we need to be achieving, even though I don't think that the level 4 is that great. There are some exceptional trainers out there, Sports Massage Academy, Alex Hall at Nottingham, and he runs courses all over. I know they teach more than is required because he's passionate about standards as well. But there are some people who cut corners, and they will do the level 3 in 4 days, and the rest of it's online learning. Now, I don't think you can get the necessary skills in that time scale. And it was interesting to read through the standard today on the CNHC website that 560 hours is required for the level 4. And that's 230 for the level 3. But I don't know many schools that do 230 hours of guided learning, even if it's online, tutor-led. I'm just going to read this comment now.
Just one thing about referring, because I just remember as a younger therapist, I think it's one of the nice things. It's natural when you've just come out. I was lucky enough to be in a multidisciplinary kind of clinic. So I did have physios. I had an osteopath as well, but mainly it was a physio. If I had someone who it sounded to me like it was beyond what I was comfortable dealing with. And this was level 4.
Yeah.
So I'd been taught in theory to do special tests. Maybe I was doing my kind of anterior kind of jaw test and stuff, and it was all a bit weird, and they were in a lot of pain, but the tests were all maybe negative. Then I would refer them to a physio. But this is what we mean by you start learning the day that you actually open the doors to your clinic, because the number of times where the physio would just send it back to you and say, you're doing exactly the right thing. Just get them to load it this way, get them to looking at the case history. You've noticed they're not giving it time to heal, etc., etc., etc. You've done all the kind of red flag tests. There's nothing that serious going on. It's just 9 times out of 10, they're not letting it calm down enough. They're not loading it appropriately to kind of like get it back to recovery. But it took probably about a good, I'm guessing now, but at least a few months, maybe more, maybe half a year, for me to eventually have the confidence not to bother sending them to the physio, because I knew the physio was just going to come back with the notes and just go, Matt, it's fine. Just do what you do, really. Because as sports therapists, I think we have this fear that I don't know what to do, but a physio will. And you soon learn that unless there's a red flag situation going on, which is out of our scope, then physios are doing the same, if not less than us sometimes. So, but you can only learn that through actually being in clinic and sending them to a physio. And if you're not lucky enough to be in a multidisciplinary environment where it's just the door next door, then that's where you have to build up these relationships where you can actually send the client to the physio. And eventually the physio will say, stop sending me people. Because they're tired, isn't it? And that's lovely. That's where you really do learn that. Learning's never like that, isn't it? It's kind of, oh my God, I've forgotten it. But that's when you get a peak. Suddenly, oh, I've learned loads here.
I suppose that's my vision for the mentorship roles. If we, I've just seen that Keith, I think it might be Keith Burnett who's on.
I think it was Keith, yeah.
Yeah, he said, if anybody's got any problems, get in touch with him. I would willingly get in touch with Keith. He's a great educator. He's a really decent human being as well. He's funny, and he's a nice chap. So if you don't work in a multidisciplinary clinic, if you work on your own, near Wolverhampton now, where Keith is, get in touch with him and say, Keith, am I heading in the right direction? Because there's no sort of airs and graces and pretentious behaviour from our members. We'll just say, well, yeah, that's fine. That's what I would have done. So let's get mentoring the younger members, the less experienced therapists. I was reading one of Matt Scarsbrook's posts on Facebook. I only got halfway through it before the phone rang. I think it was yesterday. And he makes some really valid points in all of his writing. So I urge, if you don't follow Matt, read some of his stuff, because it is really good. He's talking about the biopsychosocial model of pain at the moment. So yeah, there's lots of information. There's lots of experienced and well-educated members. So when to refer? Yeah, if you're at all unsure, either refer if you're in a multidisciplinary clinic, network with your local therapist, get a bit of advice, or seek a mentor.
One thing I just want to stick in, because I'm thinking now, if you refer to choose your mentors wisely. And as a rule of thumb, if you end up sending a patient to somebody and they come back with something with, oh, I'm glad you sent it, because it turns out that I needed to stick my finger in this guy's cheek and kind of palpate the end of the cheek to get rid of the Achilles problem. If it really is a wild, wacky idea, and it sounds like totally on a different path than what you've been brought up with, the foundational basics, then that's a bit of a red flag in itself. Because it will be out there. You've got to choose your mentors carefully, because sometimes the bright lights are something completely different, where they say, oh, well, it's because of these fascia chains and stuff. We actually need to be pulling this guy's earlobe to sort out his knee. If it sounds weird, it probably is weird for a reason. If everyone's not doing it, then it's probably because it's not evidence-based.
And I think, if we stick to the STA mentors, then, we're all singing really from the same hymn sheet. We do have a few views from time to time which differ, from other people's opinions, but I respect that. I never disrespect anybody's views. I will challenge them on it, and I hope that if they don't agree with me, they'd challenge me on it.
That's important.
Ryan Smith says Keith Burnett is one of his industry heroes. So
beautiful. There you go, Keith.
That's me and Keith then, Ryan, eh?
No one's showing any love for Matt Scarsbrook. That's a shame. I think someone better do that soon, or he's going to get.
I just bigged him up anyway, so fine for the evening. Another question that came in, and I'm not going to mention who brought this up, but it was about, the mental health of our members during and post-COVID. I've spoken to lots of members who were fearful of going back to work, fearful of PPE, fearful of treating in PPE, and I would urge anybody that if they're worried about anything, get in touch with your local group, get in touch with me and chat about it, because there's not really anything to fear. One of our members can't wear a face mask because she suffers with claustrophobia, and if she wears a face mask, she has panic attacks. And that's a time when we have to look at the best practice guidance that was issued as a result of the collaboration with the GCMT, which says visors and face masks. The government have now said face mask in all enclosed public enclosed spaces. But if you have a medical reason for not wearing a face mask, then or a face covering, then what I would say is discuss this in advance with your client. Let them know exactly what your feelings are and why, and ask them if they don't mind. And if they don't mind, then that's fair enough. But I spoke to somebody today, and she said that she had a client turn up today. She's gone back to work. She had a client turn up and came in through the door. I'd stand on the X, let me take your temperature. So she put a gun up like this, took temperature. She was dressed in PPE, and she said he looked at me as though I was some kind of alien. But this should all be explained to your clients before they get there.
Definitely.
They're just not. So I'm just coming for a treatment, right? Hands up. The gun in your face. So yeah, the mental health of our members is important. I'm not ashamed to say that I suffer with my own demons. I'm very lucky that my girlfriend listens to me rabbit on about work and my anxieties. But you need somebody. You definitely need somebody who can give a bit of perspective, because sometimes when you're suffering with anxieties, and I know some of our members suffer with post-traumatic stress from their time in the forces, or other trauma that they've gone through. I was on the phone last week to Anna Maria, talking about how I felt when I was internet trolled again last week. I suffer with anxiety where I get up in the morning and I question the purpose for what my day's going to be. It's usually at 10 to 5. I've got plenty of time to think of things to do. But I sometimes question. I sometimes I'm fearful of turning my phone on. I'm fearful of turning my computer on, because I don't know what awaits me. And 99 times out of 100, there's nothing there. But that doesn't stop me waking up in the middle of the night, not being able to get back to sleep, and feeling anxious. So I'm lucky that I've got some people to talk to. Talk to somebody. It's a cliche now, but it's okay not to be okay. But it's not okay to keep yourself penned in, bottled up. Speak to somebody about it, and hopefully, our members are very supportive. And somebody said today on one of the threads that they'd only been a member since February and they've never felt alone. And this is a time during COVID we've all felt isolated or been isolated. But we are here. I'm at the end of a phone, apart from the next week, because I am turning my phone off and I'm having a week away, and Jake is more than capable of dealing with all of the general admin. If there is an emergency, Jake will speak to me about it if somebody does need to chat. So I will make myself available, but I just need to have a week away from it all just to recharge my batteries. I'm not going away anywhere. I'm going in my back garden and I'm going to build an extension. So that's what's going to take my time. But even on holiday last year, I went with my girlfriend and her 2 boys, and I was dealing with issues on holiday. I was phoning up members who had problems. When I was in hospital recently, I had my phone and my iPad, and I was answering emails and taking phone calls. But I am just going to have a week away from it all. So please don't contact me in the nicest possible way.
Mark's just had a nice comment there. These Tuesday night chats have definitely helped with my mental health. Sharing it's like everything, isn't it? A problem shared is a problem halved, etc., etc. It's communication, isn't it? A lot of it, and finding the right people to talk to. And there is such a nice cross section of people, such a nice demonstration of the huge variety of human beings that we are in this group. I think that by reaching out, I think the chances of the right person, hitting up and talking to you would be quite high.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose, after the update today, we were going to talk about how do you measure success as a therapist. And I don't know what other people's views are, but I spoke to Claire about this the other day, and we were talking about whether, if your clinic is full, are you successful? If you're earning good money from it, are you successful? How do we measure that success? And so I've been doing a straw poll, purely anecdotally, of all the members that I speak to. And I asked them, are they successful? And they'll go, well, I don't really know, because I don't measure it. Now, we should get into the habit of measuring our success. And a lot of our members are self-employed in some capacity. I would say the minority of our members work in a multidiscipline clinic or are employed. So a good lot of us are working independently. We work in our own clinic. We work mobile. We work for a sports team. And is it enough to work a Tuesday and a Thursday night on a training night, for example, and a Saturday or Sunday match day? And I say, yes, it is for some people. For some people who have a job as an admin assistant or a property surveyor or a printer to pay the bills, and they're transitioning into this industry, might be a career change for later in life, looking at quality of life issues. And you might have to, keep that day job. You might have to, build your client base over a couple of years before you make that transition to a full-time therapist. I've never been a full-time therapist. I've always had something else going on, whether it be another business or working for an event team or event company. I've always had something that sort of takes my mind off it. And I don't think, even with my experience, I don't think I could be a full-time therapist. I don't think I could work with clients all day, every day. So I think that sometimes we give the wrong message. Sometimes the industry gives the wrong message. When we're learning, when we're being educated in college, training provider or university, we are led to believe that working for £50,000 a year as a first team therapist for Everton, for example, is the dream job. And that job may exist, but you'll probably never be advertised. It will be filled from existing networks. But sometimes it is enough to work on a Tuesday and a Thursday and a game day, if that's what floats your boat. If you're working 2 days a week, if you've got a day job, can you reduce your hours to 30 hours and then say, okay, on Fridays and Saturdays are going to be my clinic days or my mobile days? I think, for a lot of people, that's enough. You yourself, Matt, you've moved, I suppose, from the clinical side of it to more of an educator role, but you still get the job satisfaction. Would you regard yourself as being successful in the industry?
Again, it was another person, my wife, actually. When I was full-time therapist, it was quite seasonal because I was looking particularly after runners. So when I wasn't very busy, I was whinging. And when I was busy, I was so busy, like 8-9 people a day back to back, which I've never enjoyed back to back. I've hated that. I felt like just a cattle market sort of thing, one customer waiting and the other one just about going and swapping. I've always liked 10 minutes in between, but sometimes it's just not feasible if you're trying to fit everyone in. But yeah, no, I wasn't happy then. For me, success is kind of, well, it's my wife who actually said one day, look, and I've never done this before, just have you ever written down what your goals are? like for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years? And I'm like, no, not really. And I think that's something which basically you get from a mentor or something, is if you don't know what your goals to be happy are, how are you ever going to know if you are actually truly happy? So she's made me write it down, and after a year, it was time to open up that envelope again and see what you've achieved. And it's a really healthy thing to do, especially if you do suffer from anxiety and you're never kind of like we've talked about imposter syndrome and stuff, which is so easy if you don't know what your clear goals are. But yeah, writing something down, because everyone's goals are going to be different. Okay. For me, it was, for example, like 8-9 years ago or something, it was, well, to tell you the truth, I only want to actually get half my income from clinic time, and the other half I want to get from other sources in the industry, whether it's be teaching or the podcast or something, whatever it is. And then, a few years ago, my wife said, oh, 5 years is up, do you want to open up that thing? And it was a case of, wow, you've done that. And you take that with you, and suddenly that's my definition of happiness, is when you have achieved the goal which you wrote down a year ago or 5 years ago, whatever. But so few people do that. People just live from day to day. So it's impossible to say whether you're happy, because you know what you're actually after.
Well, that was one of the things that Matt Scarsbrook said in his email today. I'll just read from it. A common question in corporate is, where do you see yourself in 2 to 5 years' time? And how would you encourage a new therapy graduate to consider this question? And what advice might you give? Well, unless you write that down, unless you write that goal down, unless you discuss it with yourself and commit it to paper, it's not a goal in my book. So I would say, like you did, Matt, write it down, write where you want to be. And, my kids now are, Summer's the youngest at 20 and Jake's 26. But I've said to them all, don't worry about what job you get in the first 5 years of your working career, because the first 5 years is finding out things that you don't like doing. And sometimes, I look at people who go straight from education into education. They go to university and study sports therapy because that's what they're interested in. I would question, are they interested in it? Do they know what it's going to be? So they come to the end of the 3 years and they'll say, well, there are no jobs out there, despite the promises. So I'll go on to do a master's. And one of the comments earlier was about how disappointing it is to see graduate sports therapists going in to do a physio master's. And I think that sometimes, in education, we can get caught in a cycle of being educated. I fell into it more of an escapism, I suppose. I went to university to do a part-time degree over 3 years. I had to extend it to 4 years and then 5 because of personal family situation. I had 5 kids. I was running a business. I was going through, should we say, a bad patch in my relationship. And my dad was ill. So, I wrote my dissertation for my uni course and never submitted it because it was not important at that moment in time. But when I'd done that, I then felt that I'd let myself down. So I enrolled on another course and I did another academic study program. And I felt trapped, and I could see myself going to do a master's and, going on to, further academic study. And then I just woke up one morning. I thought, why am I doing this? I've ticked a box. I qualified as a teacher as part of my job with Lincoln College. Why am I doing this? Is it to meet other people's expectations, or is it to meet mine? And if it's to meet mine, my expectations now are it's quality of life. So I encourage everybody to write the goal down. And the reason that I encourage them, because it identifies a progression route for you. Now, let's say that you've just completed a level 3 program of study. You're a qualified sports massage therapist, and it's your second career or third career. Where do you see yourself in 18 months' time? Because I guarantee you that level 3 qualification won't fit your needs once you've grown as a therapist. You won't be able to fix the problems, facilitate the changes that you thought. So you will embark on a level 4. Now, if you write your 3 to 5 year plan and say, well, at the end of the 5-year period, I would like to be helping people with rehabilitation. I'd like to be prescribing exercise. I'd like to be helping them achieve some sporting goals. Then what that gives you an opportunity to do is say, right, well, what do I need to do? Where do I need to focus my study? And what I said to my kids is, I don't care what you do in life. I don't care what clubs you want to join. I don't care what career path you take, as long as you enjoy it, as long as you're interested in it. Don't choose something for the money. And obviously we never choose therapy because of the money. You know, we choose it because we're empaths and we like to facilitate change and help people. But identifying a clear goal, and this is going back, if I may, to the occupational competencies. If we can decide as an industry what the competencies are for a soft tissue therapist and what they are for a sports therapist, we may be able to identify where we fall short in achieving our goal. So that was one of the reasons for doing this. Apart from the fact that the industry needs it, it helps us to identify a CPD route. You know, and I would, anybody who is, I suppose, struggling with identifying a route to go as a therapist, you know, I can't recommend highly enough that you speak to Mike Grice from Movement Therapy Education over in Harborne in Birmingham. Mike was ex-UCB lecturer on the sports therapy program, and he's running some really good things at the moment. And all the reviews that I'm reading, that it's an exceptional course. I think if I had a 5-year goal now, it would include all the things that are on Mike's course. But that's because if I had a goal, but at the moment I haven't got a goal apart from to build my house. So my 5-year plan is to you know, a 35-year dream is to build my own house from scratch. And I've never had the time or the money to do that, and I still haven't. But it's still my goal. It's been a refreshing goal, shall we say, every 5 years for the last 35 years. But I will do it. You know, undoubtedly I will do it. But other things take. You know, life takes over sometimes.
Bloody kids, summer. Anyway, I think and the other good thing about writing stuff down is it reminds you that your goals aren't going to be the same as other people's, because often you'll see somebody who's gone down the route of opening up 3 clinics, and they're kind of managing these 3 clinics, other people working with them. And it's easy to look at them and think, oh, wow, they must be really happy. They've really done well. But if you refer back to your bit of paper saying, I want to have more time to spend with my family. I want to be home by 6 o'clock in the evening, be able to switch off and be able to play with my kids or whatever. I want to have kids. You know, these aren't going to fit in with somebody who is just about setting up 3 clinics and opening them and running them. And, you know, I want to be my own boss. All these things will help you to find your own happiness, because not everyone's going to be on the same page. Not everybody wants to be. Some people do. I've got friends who earn loads of money and they're always going on holiday, but they work from like 7 in the morning to 7 at night, and they've got someone else looking after their kids during the time. And I can look back at my bit of paper and it says, I want to make sure that on the weekends I'm free to look after my kids, because that's something I had, and it's something which means a lot to me, not to everyone, but that's me. And so I know that if I want that, if that's my definition of happiness, then there's no point in me going down this route where I'm thinking, well, I want to have 3 clinics, because that's just very, very, you know, it's contrasting. So
do you think that they actually write that goal though? Do you think that they say, you know, I want to have multiple clinics, I want to open?
Oh yeah. Or some people say I want to be an entrepreneur. Some people put that down. You know, I think, you know, I want to manage 3 clinics. I want to have my own staff. I want to have my own team. Yeah. I never wanted to. I'm a work dog. I like to have a boss I respect, which has been difficult, which has been my downfall probably in 51 years of my life. I've always ended up arguing with my boss and getting fired at some place or another, which is why I prefer being self-employed, because my boss, funnily enough, who owns a business, is always counting the pennies. That's why they're a boss. That's why they've got 3 clinics. And I'm too far the other side. I'm like, oh no, you can't. It's all about the money, you know. That's why I haven't got a business as such. But that's why we all have to work together. But
I think sometimes that we embark on a path, a route, and sometimes that route just carries us on. You know, it's like a snowball rolling downhill. It just gathers momentum, and then we get caught up in that. I left an industry. You know, my previous business, I employed up to 15 people, and it was the most stressful time of my life. You know, whilst having 5 young kids and trying to change my career. So yeah, it's a difficult one, really.
I think it's quite similar to our clients. A lot of the time when we get clients, we know that in most of the cases with sporting people that the major factor with pain and discomfort is inappropriate training. Okay, so the RELJAC paper shows that's why it's such an important question. But often with these sort of people, when you turn around to the clients and say, why are you doing exercise again? What is it you wanted to achieve? And they'll say, oh, well, I wanted to lose weight. And how much do you weigh now? Oh, I've lost about 3 stone. And are you happy with the weight now? Yeah. So why are you doing exercise now? Oh, that's true. Why am I doing it so much? Why am I doing it 7 times a week? And often our clients haven't set their goals. So it kind of works both ways, just as we should be encouraging our clients to write these things down, which will be an important factor in avoiding injury and pain. Then also we have to look at ourselves as well. I liked I'm not sure who the Facebook user is, but I think, again, it doesn't work for everybody because not everybody is kind of into happiness. Not everybody is. Some people like the money, the spondoolies.
Can you just read out what Summer's put? Imagine how boring my dad's life would be if I wasn't in it.
Where is that? Let's scroll down to Summer. We should get we should get a screenshot of that. Let me just do print screen and save that to Paint.
Yeah.
There we go. Paste, file, save. We'll get a screenshot of that. Lovely.
Claire's made a good point here. I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag here that Claire is actually my girlfriend. All right.
Dun, dun, dun.
She's found having a go at sports that your clients do will help you treat them more effectively, gives you better understanding. Okay. Claire wants to learn to play golf, and I've been tasked this weekend with teaching her how to play golf, and I'm over the moon about it.
Stress-free, lovely.
Yeah.
His voice goes up 3 octaves.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Who was it? Let me put, because this just resonated inside me, because it's something I've always felt that in life, because I know people who aren't happy to get home. I know people that maybe because of their relationship or they just don't want to get up in the morning. But if you can't get to your front door and turn and think that was a good day, I enjoyed that, or I want to open the door and see what's on the other side, then you can't say that you're achieving happiness or success. That's why I liked what I saw here.
Just whilst you're finding that one, I just want to...
there we go. I've got it.
All right, okay.
I love going into work. It gives me very much satisfaction. I don't see it as a job. Not seeing it as a job. If you can turn around and think, you know what? I'm not doing a job here. I want to come here. I'd do it if I wasn't getting any money for it. Well, that's got to be, for me anyway, that's quite a definition of success. If you're getting paid for something you love doing.
Yeah.
That doesn't often happen. If you're earning loads of money, most people are like, oh my God, 12 hours of just stress and then going home and trying to recuperate.
Yeah.
But that's one of the ideas of art industry, isn't it? You do actually, it's the industry where you get the most thank yous if you're doing it right, which is what we strive for, isn't it?
So Catherine, who's one of our regional representatives, she's answered Keith Burnett. Marketing is a bit lacking, and this is a conversation I had at the weekend. Because I've always been somebody who advocates having a unique selling point. Okay, so if I go to Leeds, for example, and I've got 50 quid to spend, and I need a treatment for a golf-related back injury, I would look for somebody who advertises they're proficient at working with golfers. So a unique selling point, and that I've always had I've had multiple unique selling points depending on where my market was. So my marketing materials for the golf pros was different to the cricket club. But I had this conversation. It depends where you live, okay? Because the person I had this conversation with lives in a small market town. The only competition is a physio clinic, which gets referrals from the local GPs, but it's also part of a 5-clinic practice. And everybody in this small market town absolutely slates this physio clinic for not being effective. They go for a treatment, a complete waste of time. So this person is the only competitor to a facility that's not providing a service. So naturally, without a unique selling point, this person gets a lot of clients because it's an alternative to something that's not very good. So I'm kind of looking at things from a different perspective now. It's useful to have a unique selling point. And with marketing materials, you should never put on marketing materials the same thing that everybody else does. Nobody's interested in your name. Nobody's interested in your allegiance to an association. Nobody's interested in your qualification. Or your logos that you put on. People want to know that you can facilitate change. That's all. So I was taught, and I have taught in the past, that if your business card has more than 8 words on it, you probably remember doing this, Matt.
I do very much so.
Yeah, if you've got more than 8 words on your business card and it doesn't have an exclamation mark or a question mark, it won't appeal to anybody. if it's, my business cards for, Gary at the STA are simply information. This is who I am. This is how you contact me. I'm not trying to get business from them. So it's an information service. So have a look at your marketing materials and see if you actually appeal to anybody. Use your local networking group, the STA members groups, to actually say, well, can somebody critique my Facebook page? Can somebody critique my business card, or have a look at this leaflet or poster? Let's start sharing best practice. So I am, reviewing my view on unique selling points. I'm just reading the comments there. What does everybody else think about marketing? Why don't we use the comments or use the group to post things that have worked? One of the best business cards I ever produced was a picture of, where's the camera, like that, holding a golf ball, and it simply said, "Do you want to hit this 25 yards further?" ? And the amount of work that I got from high handicap golfers who perceived that hitting the ball further would make you a better golfer was unbelievable.
I think it's knowing your audience as well, isn't it? Knowing where your target audience are likely, what they're going to be reading, doing. Are they going to find you through Google? In which case you need to get out there. And a lot of people are wasting money trying to get up high up on the Google when most of their clients aren't actually going to look for them in Google. They're going to look for them maybe in the local news agents or something. It's knowing where your people are going to be, what they're going to be using.
I suppose if you are in a small location, then it is appropriate to have your name. Because let's say I live in a rural village, okay? I was born about 400 yards away from here. Everybody knows my family in the village. So if I put a leaflet up in a local shop, Gary Benson Sports Injury Clinic, people would know me and come because they know the family. Or avoid me completely because they know me and I'm an arse.
Wouldn't you just put Big Gary? Wouldn't that be better in your village?
Yeah,
Big Gaz.
But so, the things that I've said before about it's not important to have your name on. Well, it can be important to have your name on if you live in a little rural village, a small market town where you've grown up all of your life. But if you live in a big cosmopolitan area in the middle of Manchester, for example, nobody knows you. So that's where you need a unique selling point. So it's using your geographical location, I suppose, to your advantage and adjusting your marketing materials to suit.
This is where talking to a mentor, because sometimes you don't ask yourself these questions until someone asks you to ask yourself sort of things. So having that half an hour conversation with someone who's been there and done it can make a big difference. And they might give you a task, right? Sit down, right way of this, blah, 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 blah. And then you come up with the answers. So much, isn't there, which you need through talking to other people.
Have you read that one? It's a Facebook user. I can't see that.
I think it's the same person who commented on my beard. Is it this one? Do you respect yourself as your own boss?
No, it's right down at the bottom. I'm just trying to find. I've got too many screens running at the moment. I very recently worked with a guy who specialises in communicating to humans, and the principles and methods he's taught us are already made a difference in prospective clients' interests. In summary, trying to get clients from a completely unaware stage to a fully aware and want to buy from you takes time, consistency, and meaningful messaging that connects, educates, and offers services. Sorry, long-winded.
Okay.
That is a very unique. I communicate with humans. I don't think I have much of a problem. Some might say I talk too much and probably don't listen enough.
It's the whole completely unaware to, it's like the consciously incompetent to consciously competent to the whole kind of circle, isn't it, of learning? I can't remember what it's called now, Wardaya circle or something, but it's that, isn't it? Where you change your client into someone who doesn't know about you, who actually knows about you, but they don't realize they know about you, to then actually knowing about you and calling you. Yeah, I'm sure there's techniques and things. But again,
I'm going to read that back later. Is that Tom Colwell then who's put that?
I don't know. Whoever's on the screen, then just do another little thing with your name. Because it looks like you haven't clicked on that link, so unfortunately, Live TV stops you.
Yeah, I can't see them on this one, but on my other one, where my mouse is not working, I can see.
Oh, Tom Colwell, yeah.
I'm going to follow that up with Tom.
Tom knows his stuff, doesn't he? If it is Tom, then
Tom's regional rep down on the Isle of Wight. Valentis is his business, and he spoke at Therapy Expo last year, I believe, and the first year that we did it. A really good guy, and if Tom puts his name forward for mentoring, then I would take him up on that.
Definitely, a good one, Tom.
Was Tom.
Was Tom indeed.
Yeah. So I mean, I've
is it
exhausted
Tom?
the
It's Tom
question.
who's envying my beard as well. Okay, Tom, that's fine. I know you're not a troll now. That's fine. Yeah, it's a good. It's a good question. Right. Well, look, it's 9:03 now, Gary. Before I forget, if there is anybody in here who's just been lurking in the shadows, thinking, "Oh, I'd quite like the look at this bunch." If that's the leader there, Big Gaz from Lincoln, then I'm up for it. Then yeah, there is a code you can use if you use in the next 24 hours. Let's put it on here in full glory. I mean, it doesn't cost hardly anything anyway. Let's face it. But if you want to make a little discount and feel that you've come out a winner, then I'm typing it here so you actually see on the recording as well. It's case specific. Just make sure I got it right. There you go. Okay, so that code will get you 25% off STA membership as long as you do it in the next 24 hours.
So it run out midnight tomorrow night.
There you go.
And what the hope is that we can invite some sponsors, if you like, for these Tuesday nights. So we'll always have something for everybody. So hopefully we're going to give away a prize next week. We gave away some prizes last week. We've got a discount this week. We're trying to do something to get more people to come on these chats. So please share it on your Facebook thread. You know, you can host a watch party or something, I believe. It's a bit technical for me. I'll wait while Summer's home at the weekend and she can teach me all these things. But yeah, let's get more people on these chats. The one from Claire last week got 1,225 views, I think, by the end of the week. The one from Paul Coker was at 940 something last time I looked. This will probably stay at about 2 dozen.
29. That's but it's good that it's like any kind of training thing. You need to have those recovery weeks. It's like any marathon training. It's like, you get and then suddenly come back, allow those bones to develop. But in certain cases, I think these catches up with you, Gary, will be sometimes the most useful because it just plants seeds, which is really useful in clinical practice. So I think it's good that we do these once a month or something. That in mind, do we know who's next week? Did you mention, has it been finalized yet? Or are you still contacting them?
No, I'm still in negotiation, if you like.
But if there is people who, I mean, I'd like to see personally some of the regional reps maybe coming up, maybe 2 at a time, because we can have 3 people at a time on the screen. I'd like to see comparison of areas like we've talked about, maybe different marketing strategies that work in different environments to show the differences. So that would be an idea as well. So if you're a regional representative and you've just joined up and you're in an area and you fancy coming on screen, you can see that any 2 idiots can do it. So you're just going to be up here talking, a little bit about where you're from, how you got into stuff, what you're doing as regional rep, some of the initiatives you've got, and then maybe taking questions maybe from people from your area or other regional reps. Then get in contact with either myself or Gary. And it's always the same. It's matt@thesta.co.uk or Gary@thesta.co.uk, but not next week for Gary because he's going to be in his garden working on his extension.
I'll post pictures.
Right. That'd be so you're not going to stay away from Facebook? Impossible. No.
And also as well, if members have got ideas about who they want to get on, that would be really good. I would like to have Keith Burnett on, actually, talking about his as he spoke at our conference a couple of years ago about the work he's doing with neck injuries in rugby.
Yes, I was thinking that concussion and neck injuries.
Yeah, I'd like to get Keith on and give us an update. I know his circumstances have changed. He's just moving to Wolverhampton to take up an educator's role. He's closed his clinical practice down. So it would be good to get Keith on because, he's a very knowledgeable chap.
There's a job going in Lincoln Uni I saw advertised the other day. Sports, a degree on the sports therapy course. Yeah. I saw it advertised on LinkedIn, I think it was.
Okay.
Anima. Well, look, Keith, you're biggest now. Just take a screenshot of this. You have had the seal of approval from Anna Maria Mazzieri. Look at that. Yes, I'd love to hear Keith. Well, then we shall make it happen.
Yeah.
Right.
But he's been called out now. He can't really refuse, can he?
Not at all. Get in contact with us, Keith. We'll just sort out a Tuesday that suits you. It's the same time, same place. Tuesdays at 8. Right. Gary, do you want to finish off? You can say goodbye to everyone.
Goodbye, everybody.
It's like, it's good night for me and good night for him. Right, thanks for joining us, guys. And yeah, feel free to email us and share on social media. The one thing I've learned about social media is it's such a little small bubble, and all you're doing a lot of the time is just patting each other on the back. So try and share it with people who don't know about us. Often that's the great thing. If you've got loads of friends who aren't necessarily, you know, my friends or Gary's friends, then we start just, you know, actually spreading our information. So do please share it with your friends. You can share this video. This video stays on Facebook, or soon it'll be, within days I'll have it up on YouTube. So that's probably the best link to share, because YouTube is better indexed, and people might subscribe to the channel. So yeah, do please keep sharing, people. Yeah, thanks for joining us as always. And thanks to Gary, Big Gaz from Lincoln, founder, for joining us. Right, we'll see you next Tuesday.
Thanks, Matt.
See you, Gary.
Bye.